moving out of the country and moving to England gives me that better perspective of like, oh, that is how I'm perceived as an American.
Meet Will O'Donnell, a US military veteran now living in England for 4 years. Post-US Air Force, he transitioned to a drone operator for TV, earning a prestigious Emmy Award for the James Corden show. And now he is pursuing a career as an actor in London. Will shared with me how it feels for an American when shops close at 4 p.m. on Sundays, his experience with poor customer service in European restaurants, and why Brits are much more reserved versus Americans. I'm Max, let's go. How's it for you, like this 4 years in London?
I remember my first Sunday, went out to the store and it was 3:55 in the afternoon. Now I had just moved from Las Vegas. Now Las Vegas, everything is open 24 hours. If I want to catch a show at 2 in the morning, I'll find something to do. If I want to go get chicken wings at 4 in the morning, I can find it. If I want ice cream at 5 a.m., it's there somewhere in Vegas, right? There is something everywhere all the time. Now, my first Sunday, 3:55 in the afternoon, I walk into a store. The parking lot is completely empty. And I'm like, wow, where is everybody? And I'm like, I don't know, it's Sunday, maybe everybody's at church. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the culture too much. As soon as I walk in, they're like, sir, we're closing in 5 minutes. Closing? And they're like, yeah, it's Sunday, we close at 4. And I pull out my phone and I just start looking and I'm like, wow. And this is even in London, like not just, out this, like a lot of places, 4 o'clock, done. Like places close, if they're even open on a Sunday. So it's a stark change to what I was used to. And, even in the United States, not just Vegas, they've moved to a very big hospitality, mindset where places are open. At least, on a Sunday, you'll see it closed earlier, maybe at 9, but not 4 p.m. or not open at all. I mean, that's rare, aside from your Chick-fil-A, I guess, which has made it a point to close on Sundays. But I think, that was the start. That was my first Sunday there. And I was just like, we're not in Kansas anymore. I felt like it was the Wizard of Oz, right? And, and that started that kind of chain of events of me understanding the cultural nuances that really shape just England in general. I mean, in the United States, there is a prevalent mindset, and I don't know right, wrong, or indifferent, but there is a prevalent mindset of like customers always right, the customer service side of things, right? And so I remember, and it's not that like I was trying to get away with anything. I was traveling through England and there was one restaurant in town. And this one took me by surprise. There was one restaurant in town and it was a Thai restaurant inside of a pub. It was the only place I could eat, and I had my family with me and we were starving. So we go there and it's a Saturday night, about 6 at night. The place closes on, according to Google, it closes at 10 or 11 at night. So I walk in on a Saturday and I go, hey, can we get a table? And they're like, we're not doing dinner tonight. And I was like, what do you mean you're not doing dinner tonight? They said, the owner decided not to do it. And I was like, excuse me? I was like, it's a Saturday night. You guys just, yeah, she didn't feel like cooking. So we're not doing dinner service. And I mean, I will say that was like, wow. You would almost never see that in the United States because, that's the kind of stuff like they're very big on customer experience because, obviously it's a tip-based economy as well, especially in the hospitality food industry, so like it's always about trying to keep you happy, keep you coming back and stuff like that. Service is very key, and fast service. And, it was a odd shock to be like, you're not serving dinner. Okay, well, where can I go to eat? And they were like, well, there's another town that's 15 miles west of here, and you can probably get some food there. So I had to drive, 15 miles on a small country road as well. That's still about a 25, 30 minute drive. But it was just funny. It took me by surprise. And in that same aspect of that hospitality, faster service side of things, there is a slower culture here when it comes to eating. I see that in a lot of countries I travel to. Obviously, if you've been to Italy, that is an experience unto its own. When you go for dinner, you're going to expect to be there for a long time because, they value that time and it's family and it's really catching up. And, it's an experience, right? Now in the United States, you know, it's quick in, eat, maybe talk for a little bit and get out, because ultimately they want turnover of the tables, right? And a waiter or a waitress wants you to come in, order your food to eat, pay your tip, and leave so the next person can come and pay their tip, right? Because obviously when you're talking about a tip-based, you know, system, the more people they can serve, the better. Now, in England, it is a slower experience. There is really no gratuity. It's not required. It's not really even recommended. You can if it's exceptional service, but it wasn't really, you know, it's not prevalent within the culture. So as a result, you're not as attended to as you are in America. So you sit down and, you know, they'll come over, they'll take your drink order. That's probably, you know, the only time you're going to be asked about your drink again. Whereas a lot of times, like in America, you finish half of your soft drink, it's getting a refill. You take a sip and it's full again. And you take a sip and it's full again. And, you know, it's in England, they take your drink order, you get your drinks, you place your food order. Once your food arrives, there's a good chance you may never see your wait staff again until the end. If they forgot the barbecue sauce on the side or whatever you asked for, good luck. I mean, you look around and that person has just disappeared, because at that point they've done their job, and it's not a bad thing. I'm not, you know, knocking it. It's they've taken your order, they've supplied you with your food, and they've left you alone. Now, maybe they come back, hey, is everything fine? But one-time deal versus, you know, that cultural shift in America where, you know, almost every couple of seconds, hey, can I get you anything? You okay? How's everything? Food fine? And, you know, it's inevitably you see the joke is as soon as you take that bite of food, right? And how's everything? It's great. You know, it's, you know, but in England, and then even when it's time to pay, you know, you'll sit there and you'll be like, I'd like to pay. Is there anybody that can give me the bill? I'll say that to, I guess, any Americans that may be looking to visit or move. It's a little bit of a cultural difference in that sense. Slower pace on a lot of things. I mean, be prepared for that. I mean, it's not a bad thing. I think where I am in my life, I need a little bit of slower pace on certain things, and it allows me to kind of slow down. I mean, when I've been running for 100 miles an hour for so many years, it gives me that sense to just, all right, I'm where I'm supposed to be. I'll let the universe decide.
What's the most important thing when you are about to launch your own project or side hustle or business? Let me help you. It's the supply of clients. If you have a good product but don't know where to sell it and who to sell it to, then you're screwed. And YouTube is the best way actually to attract clients in 2024. I'll be running a 3-day online workshop, YouTube Fast Track to Views and Passive Income, where you will learn how literally to start your channel, how to find your niche, how to gain your first 1,000 subscribers, and how to gain a lot of views even on a smaller channel. And of course, the main thing, how to make money and even a passive income on this channel. Before this workshop was paid, now I'm doing it for free to allow more people to actually take place and to try to start and grow YouTube channel themselves. So if it's something that interests you, sign up at the link below. It's free, no obligations, except one. You have to be there on the dates of the workshop. So see you there.
There's more passive aggressiveness in England and within the culture than in America. America, I come across as very aggressive to a lot of people. I don't feel that way. I don't ever feel as though I'm like aggressive at people, but I am high strung. I have that energy of just like, almost like, yeah, let's go, let's do this. So, you know, why isn't this like this? And it's just like, you know, people sometimes are like, whoa, relax. And I'm like, I am relaxed. Oh yeah, I'm fine. I'm not upset, but I come across that way because of that energy of just wanting to just get in and do things and get at it. Whereas, you know, it's I've seen it a lot within the cultures, you know, an acceptance, right? An acceptance of like, oh well, this is bad because of this. And it is what it is. You know, it's okay, you know, and it's an interesting kind of level of passive aggressiveness where people may get upset, but it's more subdued. They don't wear their emotions outward as a lot of Americans do. Like they internalize it. And even my British friends, I'm friends with a lot of them, they talk about it a lot, is that, you know, they're taught to just kind of just internalize a lot of it, you know, keep their emotions inside and, you know, don't be so outward about it. You know, you don't need to be. It's not going to help anything. And I mean, it's taught me valuable lessons as well at the same time. You know, it's, you know, there's more ways to do things, and that those cultural differences that I've kind of been picking up on is, it's allowing me to see things from their perspective and going, maybe I can tone it down a little bit. Maybe I do come across as a little high strung. Maybe I can kind of take a back seat every once in a while. I don't have to, you know, always be so vocal about things. And that's good, right? I mean, you know, we all learn in life, and we're all on this journey to grow and try to be, you know, different today than we were yesterday, and be better today than we were 10 years ago. And, you know, that's where I think a lot of my cultural kind of experiences have kind of lent me kind of a different mindset on a lot of different things. And it's been fun though. I mean, here's one I know you probably want to move on to the next question. Here's one I'm not going to let die. I can't. And I say it all the time. Pudding. Okay. Are you familiar with the English term of pudding? It's a dessert, right? So would you like pudding? Yeah. Okay. Would you like dessert? Now, pudding for us as an American is obviously that, you know, chocolate pudding, right? You would get, you know, it's that dairy, you know, mixture, right? That's pudding. I get it. They call it pudding, right? It's a little, it threw me off at first. Hey, would you like some pudding? No, I'll be all right. Are you sure? We have cake. Well, then if you had cake, I'll take the cake. I just didn't really want pudding. Oh, pudding's dessert. Cool. That's fine. I've accepted that. But then Yorkshire puddings come around. Now, Yorkshire pudding is just a giant piece of flattened bread that accompanies like a roast. Well, it's not a pudding. It's a bread. And that one, I know, you know, we talked about cultural differences, but like, I'm not going to let that one, that has been a hot topic, because one time I ordered a Yorkshire pudding thinking it was a dessert. It's not. It's just a flat piece of bread that you dip in the beef drippings from a roast. Delicious nonetheless, but definitely not a pudding, definitely not a dessert. Throws you off.
How Brits react when they find out that you are from the US, you're American? What do you think the attitude from British people towards Americans? Are there any, like, I don't know, stereotypes or something around it?
For the most part, it's been wildly positive. The fun part is the accent, right? That's the first, you know, kind of, oh, the accent. Where's that from? A lot of people guess America. I've had a few that thought Canada. You know, obviously, I have a very generalized American accent where you really can't place it to a certain region, right? But a lot of people have thought possibly Canada because, you know, the Canadian general Canadian, general American's very close, right? And then there's been a few people that have been like, you from Ireland? And I was like, that sounds nothing like an Irish accent. And so no, I'm not. And I was like, so I usually let them guess. Sometimes I'll have some fun and they'll be like, you're American, huh? And I'll be like, no, I'm from South London. And they'll be like, South London? No way. You're absolutely not from South London. I have continued the joke once or twice where I'm like, well, actually, it was a small contingent of, you know, colonists that came back from America. And, you know, we've kept it as a tight community for 200 years. And that's why the accent hasn't really changed. And they're like, no way. And I'm like, no, I'm just messing with them. I'm from America. But for the most part, it has been very positive experience. I mean, thankfully, I mean, America and England has had a wonderful relationship for so many years as allies, as friends. I mean, a lot of people still, even younger generations still, you know, look at America as somebody that did help a big piece to the war. You know, I mean, in World War II, I mean, it's, which obviously they did, but like you would think that, you know, maybe history has died off a little bit, but it's still being taught to a lot of people is that level of kind of that, you know, alliance and strong relationship between America and England. And thankfully, I mean, I guess the commonality of language is close enough to a lot of cultural, you know, kind of Western standards has really helped. But overall, it's been a very positive experience. I've had a few that were not as positive. Just it's very rare where, you know, one person straight up just said, oh, American, I hate Americans. And it was just like, okay, well, I apologize. I don't know what I've done to you or my people. But whatever it is, I hope you work that out. And it is what it is.
Americans have this reputation of being like very patriotic. Do you think that being in the military for 10 years made you more patriotic and made you love the US more than before?
Obviously, the US culture has always been a patriotic culture, right? And I think that's ingrained a lot in the schools growing up, is that kind of unwavering love for your country. And there is a notable level of patriotism compared to the rest of the world, for sure. But I think as the years went on after 9/11, I mean, obviously that subsided. You're not seeing, as many flags on cars. Because you used to see them all on cars everywhere, not just on houses and flagpoles, but you just see it everywhere. Everybody kind of rallied together. But as the years went on, it did waver off. And then obviously with, a lot of the political discourse going on in the past few years, you're seeing a lot less patriotism, I guess, because that's people's way to really kind of just protest the system. My time in the military, obviously they tried to make a big push on, that patriotism, is that you are fighting for a bigger cause, right? You're fighting for freedom. You're fighting for liberty. You're fighting to instill the values of the United States and protect its interests, right? That patriotism side, it is interesting. While I was in the military, yes, it was extremely strong. And I mean, it still is. I mean, the underlying values of what the United States stands for is an important thing. Without getting into the political discourse side of things, I mean, the idea of patriotism, and to me, is all about the values that you instill and not necessarily the people that are running it, right? And the United States does stand for a lot of things. I mean, you still see that all over the world. I mean, although, me as an expat that does not live in the United States, there's still people clamoring to get into the United States. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason that people have these big dreams and big ideas to go to the United States and make it big and start a business and do whatever they want to do, because there is that overlying level of ideals that, the United States pushes out, that makes people believe that they can be and do anything they want because they have the freedom to do so. And so like that level of patriotism, I guess for me has been unwavering. I've always, I always look back at what, at the time, what the United States did in a world, hundreds of years ago where that would be unthought of. And they really set the tone for a lot of different countries.
Can I say that you understood yourself as an American better after living for 4 years in the UK?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, ultimately moving around, even in America, it starts that journey. It gets you out of your homogenous lifestyle of understanding, right? It's so easy in general for moving from one state to another. You end up having, groupthink, right? When you hang around the same group of people, when you hang around the same culture of people, you have that same kind of level of groupthink. Moving around from state to state helped kind of change that from different mindsets of the country. And then moving out of the country and moving to England gives me that better perspective of like, oh, like that is how I'm perceived as an American, because I'm able to see that contrast. I'm able to see the differences of, how I live on a day-to-day basis versus how other people live, and their cultural upbringing, their cultural understanding on every little piece. And it really did kind of give me that perspective of understanding. And me living in England is still even a stark contrast to those visiting England, right? There's a level of different American tourist than there is as an American living abroad. And I'm sure you see that, where you live, is that somebody that's an expat living in that country has a different level of behavior than a tourist American that comes to visit, right? You know immediately, oh, they're a tourist versus, oh, they've been living here for so many years and they've, modified and adapted some of their mannerisms, right?
If you want to hear more stories of inspirational, fun and impactful people, watch the next video. I promise you will enjoy it. No, seriously, you will.